And this is when it all goes wrong, guys. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia and I am a long distance Disney creator. Long distance meaning I live in Michigan, but my home park is Walt Disney World in Orlando. And today I wanted to make this video to talk about my Disney wedding. This past week my husband and I celebrated our 2-year anniversary, and I decided I wanted to share that experience with you guys, what the planning was like, what the day itself was like, and the whole experience. So without further ado, I also wanted to explain my outfit a little bit. So this tiara is actually the tiara I wore on my wedding day. It is the Rapunzel crown from Rita Lane Vintage in gold. And then this shirt that says Living My Happily Ever After is from Happily Ever Threads. I don't believe they sell it anymore, but I wore this on my honeymoon in Disney following the wedding. And then this lipstick is Red Velvet from Lime Crime. I believe they are going out of business, but this is the exact lipstick I wore on my wedding day as well. I kind of tried to recreate my wedding look a little bit. So starting off, a Disney wedding wasn't something that was always in the plans for me, mostly because I thought it wouldn't be in our budget. But when we started getting quotes and thinking about venues, we thought, well, we might as well just see how much it would be. And it was surprisingly comparable. And by comparable, I mean, if we downsized our guest list, it would be about the same as having our wedding here locally at a venue that we liked. However, there's a huge range of how much it can cost. And if you're interested in having a Disney wedding, I do recommend reaching out to Disney Fairy Tale Weddings, getting the pricing information from them, because it is such a wide range and there's so many options. There's different tiers, different packages. But a couple tips if you are looking to have a Disney wedding and stay within a budget. A resort wedding is typically cheaper than a park wedding. And I personally chose a resort wedding because the park weddings, you usually have to get married either super early before the park opens or super late after the park closes, so there's that. There's different days of the week that are cheaper. Saturday, the most expensive, so I got married on a Friday. Also, if you get married at the resorts, there's a lot of fees you don't have to pay. So if you're getting married in the parks, your guests usually have to enter through like a back end, so you'll have to pay security fees, transportation fees, etc. The biggest recommendation I can make is to keep your guest list short. This is not only budget friendly, but I think it helps for the enjoyment of the wedding, because especially if you're someone like me where you're coming from Michigan, so most of your guests are traveling, if you have fewer guests, you can make the experience more intimate. You can give them more attention because they are sacrificing a lot to be there for you. They're sacrificing their time, their PTO. They're probably flying in. So fewer guests, I was able to give them more attention, spend more time with them. Another thing is picking a venue that's already themed to how you like it, because then you don't have to pay as much for decor and floral. So we picked Destino Plaza, which is the lawn in front of the new tower at Disney's Coronado Springs. My husband's family is Mexican, so we liked that Destino has like that Mexican Spanish style throughout the resort, and the color scheme, everything was what we already wanted, so we didn't need to add as much decor to it, so we saved money there. We also reused a lot of our floral from the ceremony to the reception. So all of our pieces that were at the ends of the aisles at the ceremony, they became the centerpieces at the reception. The arch that we got married under became the decor behind our sweethearts table. So things like that. And I will talk more about floral in a minute. So the beginning of the planning process, when you reach out to Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, you'll pick your venue. Like I said, we did Coronado Springs, Destino Plaza. Another good thing about that resort is it's a big resort, and we kind of encouraged everyone to stay there. So it was so fun to have all our friends and family so close, especially at the end of the night, if they could just go back to their room, which is what we did. With our room block, I don't know if they still do this. Let me disclaimer by saying, my wedding was 2 years ago. All this information that I am saying could be different now, or I could be remembering incorrectly, so don't take anything I'm saying as, the absolute truth. So make sure you reach out to Disney, do your own research, because things change and things could be different. So when we did our room block, enough people booked in our room block that my husband and I were able to get 2 free nights at the Destino Tower, which I absolutely love. That that part of the Coronado resort. It is a deluxe resort in my opinion. It is gorgeous. The rooms, the lobby, everything is just breathtaking. So we started off with our room block and our save the dates. And the planning process, in my experience, was very slow. In terms of getting responses, especially via email from the Disney planners. And I don't know if this is still true, but at the time it was true for me, mostly because it was 2022 and Disney was going through a huge backlog from the weddings that were postponed because of COVID. So I don't know if this is still the experience. It was for me. Sometimes it felt frustrating, but at the end of the day it was never a problem because they got everything done. They got everything done on time, and the wedding was essentially perfect at the end of the day. Sometimes I got nervous that a ball was going to be dropped because of how slow the communication was, but it wasn't. So I started planning about a year away from the wedding, and 2 of my bridesmaids were actually from Brazil. So for the bridesmaid proposals, I got these custom little bracelets with some Mickey beads, and I took pictures of that with their names on it, and that was like my bridesmaid proposal. So that's what those looked like. One of the first meetings, like Zoom meetings that you have with Disney if you're not local, is to kind of show them like your Pinterest board, pictures, PowerPoint, inspiration of like the whole vibe of your wedding. And that's kind of the starting point. If you don't want to make all those decisions, if you really don't know what you want for your wedding, Disney will help you get there, and they will make sure that it is perfect and beautiful, because at the end of the day, every wedding they do is an advertisement for themselves. And, you know, there'll be people walking by your wedding depending on where the venue is. You'll post pictures and you'll say this was a Disney wedding. Your guests will know that it's a Disney wedding. So everything they do is top quality no matter what you're asking. And with that, there's some vendors that you have to get through Disney. I believe, I don't, like I said, I don't know if this was still true, but if your venue was like in an outdoor area where people could see, I believe you had to use Disney Floral. I used Disney Floral and they were amazing. I used one of the Disney recommended DJs. I did find a photographer that wasn't a Disney photographer because I wanted a specific style. Her name was Michelle Laxon, and the photos were amazing. I'm so happy with that decision. I used Fairy Tale hair and makeup for my hair and makeup. They were not a Disney vendor, but they were also amazing. And in fact, the woman that did my hair and makeup specifically, she told me that she did the touch-ups for the cast of Avatar when they did the Pandora opening. So I can say that I've had my makeup done by the same person that has once touched up Sigourney Weaver's makeup. So that's kind of fun. Again, my DJ was through Disney. His name was DJ Vitor. We chose him specifically because he spoke English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and my guests spoke English, Spanish, and Portuguese, so he could kind of do the announcements in all 3. He was amazing, lots of fun. I found a steaming service to steam like my dress in my room the night before. That was not through Disney. We got our suits, the men's suits, through Men's Warehouse. That wasn't like, you know, my top vendor, but the easy thing about that is that everybody could, because of the destination wedding, we could see the suits, try them on, get fitted locally here, but then have them picked up in Orlando. And another cool thing is, I don't know if it's just this Orlando Men's Warehouse, but they came to the hotel the morning after and picked up the suits, so we didn't even have to bring them back to Men's Warehouse, so that was cool. Another vendor we had was for our save the dates. I found this company. His Instagram is called Doodleism, so Doodle ISM on Instagram. And I had him do this drawing of at the Disney parks, and we used these for our save the dates. We also included our room block information with these. So those were my vendors. The planning process is really complicated. Like, at the end of the day, I don't even think I can explain it to you guys, other than it was emails, Zoom meetings, and I just trusted Disney with everything. One of the cool things, my favorite part about the planning process was, so for example, when I had the floral meeting, I showed them my Pinterest inspo. I said, I like these flowers, I like this look. I had no idea what anything was going to cost because I've never planned a wedding before. And they came back with a quote, and I kind of was like, holy crap, like, you know, that's not in our budget. And so I explained that to them, like, this is actually what our budget is based on what we talked about what can we do? And there was no pushback. Like, they don't pressure you to spend more. They're very accommodating of your budget. And some of the things that, like, they're the ones that told me about, okay, let's move this floral from the ceremony to the reception. They downsized my bouquet, the bridesmaids' bouquets, even though you can't tell, they were still massive and super heavy. They used a lot more seasonal flowers, like local flowers that they could get easier for less. They used, like, in our arch, our floral arch, they did like half greenery, half flowers, which I actually think ended up being more beautiful. So they totally met me where I was at, and I think that is so awesome. So now I want to get into, well, let's start the night before the wedding. So I did not plan a rehearsal dinner. So Disney planned the rehearsal. That was at Coronado as well. I don't like super formal events. I don't like being told, like, this time, be here, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted people to feel like, the people that came, I wanted them to feel like they were on a Disney vacation and not like, you know, they're like just for me. So I didn't plan a rehearsal dinner, and maybe I should have. But I just thought, because there's so few of us, I said after the rehearsal, you know, let's go over to Three Bridges, which is a restaurant at Coronado. It's amazing if you haven't been. You know, let's get dinner and drinks together there. And my maid of honor went over there, and just to ask, like, because it ended up being 40 of us. More people decided to join. And she told them, like, hey, can we start reserving, like, some tables for 40 of us at Three Bridges? And they were kind of like, oh, we don't do that. And then my maid of honor was like, well, we're with Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings. And they were like, we'll see what we can do. And they ended up basically giving us like half the restaurant. I'm not saying they'll do stuff like that every time, but Disney Fairy Tale Weddings is a powerful word to use if you do become a Disney bride. So take advantage of that when you're there and when it's your turn. And that was just like an amazing atmosphere to have dinner with everyone and like to have half the restaurant to ourselves. We were lucky it wasn't a busy night. They didn't kick people out for us. But yeah, that was a really, really great memory. So yeah, getting into, now let's the next day. So the next day I wake up at Disney's Coronado Springs. My parents had gotten the gotten one of the suites at Disney's Coronado Springs for one night, so that we could use, or for 2 nights I guess, so that we could use that room to get ready in. So all my bridesmaids, we met at that suite. We had cinnamon rolls, scones, fruit, bacon, coffee, all that. So we just hung out and we got ready together. The hair and makeup team showed up, the photographer showed up. One of the best parts of Disney weddings is the day of coordinators. So I had Tony and Macy. I don't know if they still work there, but they were amazing. They are fairy godmothers. They make you feel so important. They make sure everything goes perfectly. They make sure you're taken care of. So that is another huge plus of a Disney wedding, is the day of, like, the planning stress is hardly there, and then the day of stress is like non-existent. Like, someone is going to make sure everything works out for you, and that is, like, you can't ask for more on your wedding day. So we all got ready, and then my coordinator came and got me, and it was time for the first event of the day, which was the first look. So Adrian was downstairs in the Coronado lobby waiting for me to do our first look. Our photographer and coordinator found like this perfect, beautiful, quiet little spot for us to do it. And it was kind of funny because I went by myself for this part. So I was all ready in my dress, my hair, my crown, my makeup, looking like a total princess bride. It was ball gown. Oh, let me talk about my dress. So this is another budget tip for you guys. I got my dress at a consignment store, which means it was a secondhand dress, and it was a Vera Wang ball gown, but I got such an amazing deal on it. I got so lucky. I had like extra room in my budget to like customize the dress, and it still wasn't, you guys, I saved so much money. So I'll show you guys a picture of what the dress looked like when I got it, and then what it looked like after I altered it and customized it. So I love it so much. I would not change a thing. That is my dream dress. I love that the front of it gives me like Tiana vibes, like the way it has like the curtain front. I love it so much. So anyway, I went in the elevator by myself to get down to the lobby for my first look, and as the elevator is coming down, I remember thinking like, oh my god, don't stop, like I don't want anybody to come on, just because it was embarrassing. And of course the elevator stops, and the sweetest little old lady, like, she's just totally caught off guard. Like, she goes, oh my god, like when the doors open, she's like, oh, you look beautiful, and I'm like, super awkward. I'm like, thanks, on my way to my wedding. So we did the first look, and we did our vows at that time too. And then after that, we went outside for the bridal portraits and the bridal party portraits. This is where, foreshadowing, the weather starts to turn a little bit. It starts to get really cold and really windy. It was 50 degrees outside, which I personally never, like, I never felt cold. The adrenaline of the day, like, it never bothered me, but looking back on the photos, I feel really bad for my guests because I can tell that they were freezing. Thankfully, my ceremony was short. It was only like 15-20 minutes long, so it wasn't terrible, but keep that in mind. That's going to be important later. I think the bridal party portraits are some of my favorites. My photographer found like the most beautiful locations at Coronado Springs, so I'll put some of those so you guys can see. And the wind was also, like, you know, a paid actor that day, like super high winds that made for gorgeous photos. But yeah, so then came the ceremony. My only regret from my wedding day was that I didn't request a room, because I was staying at the Coronado, but I didn't request a room that was facing like the courtyard or the lawn where I was getting married. And it never even crossed my mind until one of my guests was like, oh, I could see them setting up your wedding. Here, look at these pictures. It's so beautiful. And I was like, that would have been amazing if while we were getting ready, I could have like watched them setting up the wedding and had that bird's eye view of it. And also because I took like some pictures like facing out the window, and it was just the parking lot. And I'm like, why didn't they give the bride like, I mean, but you would think that Disney would know to give a bride like the water facing room, because this was our room from the room block. So like we weren't paying for the room. It wasn't like I could have put in like the preferred view or something. Like I didn't pick the view. It was like the free room block room. Like they should have put the bride and the groom facing their venue. So, and I should have asked. Like I never thought about it, but because once I finally did get to the ceremony and, you know, holding my mom and dad's arms, walking down the aisle, like I just wanted to like pump the brakes, and like this is my first time seeing my wedding, the florals, everything that I've been planning for like a month. It's here, or a year. It's here in front of me, and I don't even have like I stopped and I did soak it in for a minute, but I can't stand here for 10 minutes and delay the wedding to like be like, look at those flowers, look at the lantern, like, oh, look at my friends are all here. Like, yeah, I wish I could have had more time to like soak in how beautiful the ceremony setup was. So that's my only regret. It's a tiny little thing. It's whatever. It was perfect. So the ceremony was great. My officiant was my mom's best friend, who's a pastor, and that was really nice because I was comfortable sort of customizing the ceremony. One thing that I am not a big fan of is the traditional gender roles of a wedding, where it's sort of like the father giving the woman to the man. That's okay if you love that, but it's just not for me. And so we changed a lot of the language in the ceremony so that it didn't kind of reflect that. For example, traditionally a lot of people say to the man, you may now kiss the bride. We had our officiant say, you both may begin your happily ever after with a kiss. So that was really cute. For the music in the ceremony, we chose the violinist. There's a couple options that come with the ceremony fees of a Disney wedding. There's like a guitarist, a quartet, I don't remember, but I chose the solo violinist, and I loved our music choices. So for when everybody was seating, we did the Kingdom Dance song from Tangled. When the family was coming down, we did the Butterfly song from Encanto. For the bridal party entrance, we had Go the Distance. And then when I was walking down the aisle, it was Can You Feel the Love Tonight? It was, oh my god, I could tear up remembering it. And then when it was like our final exit, we had the DJ there, and they played the Ever Ever After song from Enchanted, and I love that moment because we, we're walking down like this. He dips me in the aisle. Everybody's blowing bubbles that we brought, and that song's blasting, and that was so special. So all of that went really well till this point, and this is when it all goes wrong, guys. So let me preface this by saying the Destino Tower is new as of, I believe, 2021, and our wedding was January 2023. And with COVID and that not being like one of the most popular wedding venues at Disney, there hasn't been a ton of weddings there. And I don't think that they have all the logistics figured out, like in terms of where the guests exit specifically. Because at this point, we were supposed to exit and go like kind of hide away, and our guests are supposed to be led to a cocktail hour. And one thing on our part that we should have done differently is I've been to weddings where like the bride and groom will like wait at the end of like their ceremony aisle and like greet everybody as they're going to the cocktail hour. I wish we would have done that so we had a chance to say hi to all of our guests before heading into the reception, and you're about to see why as well. Okay, so we exited and we went back into the Coronado hotel, and we're in this little hallway like waiting to hear where we're supposed to go next. And it's this tiny hallway where like other guests are passing too. Like it's not even blocked off for the wedding. It's got tile floors, and our guests are starting to leave the wedding. Like I said, they were supposed to be, so this is where Disney I think could have done better. Like I said, it's the inexperience of like the venue being new, and also just like not having like crowd control, like maybe enough people for as many guests as I had. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so we ended up going a little under 100 guests. We kept it just to like immediate friends and family. We ended up having just under 100 guests. We kept it to like closest friends and immediate family. My husband has a big family, so about 30 of the guests were mine, about 70 were his. So anyway, we are waiting to figure out where we're supposed to go next, and our guests start to come in, like follow us into the doors that we came in, and they're coming into this like narrow hallway with us. And everybody's excited to see us, congratulate us, hug us. And mind you, I am wearing this cathedral veil, and it had blown off earlier because of the wind. So I had really like weaved it back and forth, and we like packed it down into my hair so this thing would not come off. And all of our guests are pouring inside not only to see us, but because it is freezing. And they've been freezing for the past 20 minutes. The winds are picking up. Everybody's just running inside to get warm. And it starts to get really crowded really fast. I'm being pushed around and feeling uncomfortable. I start to look for my coordinator, and then everything just happens so fast. So all of a sudden, I feel this biggest yank on the back of my head, like whiplash. And what had happened is either someone got caught in my veil or stepped on it, or God knows what, because it happened so fast. I didn't see it. To this day, I don't know if it was one of my guests on accident and maybe they didn't even realize it, or if it was, like I said, there was resort guests passing through here. Like, and maybe they were like frustrated because, you know, we're blocking off the hallway, but that should be on Disney. But yeah, I got yanked like this. And in my high heels and my ball gown, it threw me off balance. It was so fast. I got yanked down head first onto the tile and smacked my head on the floor. It hurt. It wasn't that bad, but I think the shock of, oh my God, I just got hurt. I fell down on my wedding day. And I immediately start crying. And my coordinator, she's there, she picks up on it, and she starts telling everybody, like yelling for everybody to clear out, get out of here. Unfortunately, it was so loud and echoey in that tile room, nobody could hear her. So, bless my maid of honor, she's an elementary school teacher. She uses her teacher voice and tells everybody to get the F out. And I think everybody got a little scared at that point, so everybody runs out. And then here is where Disney, and I don't blame them, has to follow their protocols. And I was not allowed, they at least moved me into like a comfy chair in a private room, but I was not allowed to move until the paramedics cleared me because I just fell and hit my head. And unfortunately at this point, our photographer was waiting for us outside because we were supposed to be doing golden hour photos by the lake, which we sadly never ended up getting to do because from the time I had to wait to the paramedics to get cleared by the paramedics, it took 45 minutes to an hour of my wedding day. So that was really disappointing. Yeah, so when I was waiting there, like, no one could touch me, no one could give me water even. Like, that's how strict their protocols were. I believe it's because if I had a really bad head injury, like, they don't want me to start to, like, vomit or something. I don't know. But, the paramedics came and they were the nicest people ever. They said that they saw on their little screen, it said bride fallen. And they said they'd never seen that before. They didn't know, they couldn't believe it. They didn't know what to do. So they ended up bringing me this. So I have the coolest wedding souvenir ever. I have this little Dalmatian from the Reedy Creek Fire Department. So he was popular for the rest of the night. I got lots of cute pictures with him. And like I said, the paramedics were so sweet for thinking of me and just, you know, thinking of like what's something tiny they can do, this knowing that this bride just got hurt on her wedding day. So at the time they cleared me and said I was fine. They said maybe I have a mild concussion and mild whiplash, which I think through the rest of the night the adrenaline kept me going, but the next day I felt the effects of that a little more. Actually at the end of the night, in some of my pictures, if you zoom in, you can see my pupils are like 2 different sizes. But I felt fine. The next morning was a little rough. We had plans to go to Epcot with everyone, and we did go. So like any of our friends and family that wanted to join us in the parks that day, they were all invited to go. And I went, but if it's any indication of how bad I was feeling, I had a virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy and I skipped it. But yeah, the biggest downside of that was just how much time it wasted and how we missed out on golden hour photos. And by the time I was finally cleared, it was too dark to take family portraits outside. So we ended up doing the family portraits in front of, if you've ever been to Coronado, in the new edition, there's like these gorgeous lantern walls, like when you enter, and we took all our pictures in front of those and they are so pretty. So I'm actually thankful for that. I think they turned out even better than like the lake pictures would have. So that's really good. After that, we had our reception entrance. We had the DJ kind of like remix the intro to Happily Ever After. So like that was playing like as before the doors entered for us to go in. Oh, our reception was in the Lantana Ballroom, which is like a ballroom right next to, like inside, right next to where our ceremony was. People barely had to walk to it. It was a gorgeous room, and yeah, there's not much to that. But so like they had the Happily Ever After, like the dun 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 dun. So that was like playing, and then when we walked in, it did the little like, and they all lived happily ever after. So like that totally made me tear up. And then we went straight into our first dance. We did, and then it was just a normal reception from there. We did the father-daughter dance, mother-son dance. We did a cake cutting. For food, we based our menu off the Toledo restaurant. We had the Spanish charcuterie for the cocktail hour. We had a fajita bar, patatas bravas and all those good appetizers for dinner. My mom is a huge fan of the brown derby Cobb salad, so I believe we had that salad at our wedding, if I remember properly. In dessert, we had a churro flambe station, and we also had, you know, our traditional wedding cake. I remember the food being super good. The DJ kind of did a great job of getting everyone to dance, and it was just an amazing night. Another cool thing that we were able to do, because it was a Disney wedding, is Be Our Guest, the restaurant in Magic Kingdom. They have their own signature champagne that you can only buy there. It's called Enchanté. And they were able to get us a bottle for my husband and I to, like, that was like what we did our little cheers or toast to. So that was a special Disney touch. I'm trying to think of anything else. So I will say that Disney, when my wedding planners, they all got wind of what happened to me, they reached out that night and again that morning to make sure I was okay, and they did end up refunding a good portion of our venue fee because of the accident that happened. And let's just say it was enough to cover the rehearsal dinner. So yeah, I don't recommend getting injured on your wedding day, but it was nice that Disney tried to make it right. We did stay the following week after our wedding. We went from Coronado to Animal Kingdom Lodge. We had a little pixie dust moment when Disney's bellhop services moved our luggage from Coronado to Animal Kingdom Lodge. They actually brought the leftover floral from our wedding and decorated our room with it, which was so cute. So they like They took the floral that was like on our arch and like laid it over a dresser. I'm gonna put a picture of that here. That was really sweet and special. So yeah, we spent a week in the parks and at Disney following that, and it was super fun. Some of our guests stayed for a few days. We got to see them a little longer. I think the best part of the whole Disney wedding experience, especially if you're not local to Disney, was being able to have your friends and family. All at Disney. Like the people that mean most to you are together in your special place. Like, I got to go to dinner at Raglan Road with my grandparents. I got to have a Hollywood Studios day with some of my closest friends and cousins, friends that live in Brazil that I never get to see. We got to go to Disney together. It was just fun, like, running into everyone everywhere. Like, we'd go down to the Mercado to get breakfast, and I'd be like, there's my uncle, let's chat with him. Like, it was just so cool and so special. Like, if anything, it makes me a little sad that, like, I'll never get that opportunity again, but I'm glad that I got that opportunity in the first place, and I'll have it to remember and cherish forever. And I think a lesson that we can all take away from this is Edna has always said no capes, and I think we need to add no veils. Specifically cathedral veils that drag on the ground. Unless you're just trying to get a Reedy Creek Fire Department Dalmatian, because look how cute. I have tried my best to remember all the details, everything that I want to share. I'm sure while I'm editing this video, I'm going to be like, oh my god, I wish I would have talked about this, I wish I would have shared this, said that. So feel free to ask me any other questions you might have in the comments. I will talk about this day forever, so please ask me anything you want to know. Thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me talk about one of my favorite days ever. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. I will see you guys around. Bye.